start doing it if you want. We're going to try, if people are still willing to hang around for an extra 5 minutes, to do an active evaluation at the end, and that's what the slips of paper on your tables are for. And so we have the action items that we're going to talk about anyway, but then we have things like inspirations to be continued. So this is basically stuff from the workshop. Then frustrations or observations, suggestions or proposals, and ways to share work better. So if you have ideas or thoughts about any of those things, you can already start writing them down, and we'll put them up later. Thanks a lot. Over to Cristina.
So for those who were here yesterday at the opening plenary, Emily talked about the several dimensions of solidarity economy, and I think we covered most of them in our plenaries yesterday and today. But one that we still haven't covered beyond...
Can you speak a little bit loud?
I'll try. I'll try to project. We have covered governance, we have covered financing, we have covered production and reproduction. We haven't really covered that much distribution and or consumption. And that's what I've been asked to touch upon in this concluding plenary. And what I want to talk about is an example that might be, I hope, of interest, maybe even of inspiration that comes from my research at the University of Bergamo in Italy. I come from Italy and I am a member of the Italian Solidarity Purchase Groups, in Italian Gruppi di Acquisto Solidale, and that's why the acronym is GAS. This is data that I've collected with my colleagues Francesca Forna, sociologist, and Silvana Signori, a business economy. So gas are an interesting phenomenon. They are on the increase in Italy, and there are 1,000 self-registered groups in Italy. These are groups that have spontaneously flagged up their existence on the nationwide website of Rete Gas, of the gas network. So we suspect that there may be a lot more than those 1,000. And what people do in a gas is they get together in networks of families, usually 20 to 40, but they can be up to 100 families. And they have meetings, just like these guys, and decide to basically source directly and proximally, so as much as possible, approaching smallholders, local farmers, or even agricultural co-ops, or trying to set up direct liaisons with producers and providers from further away. I'll give an example of a direct liaison that exists between a network of gas groups in northern Italy and a network of orange growers in Sicily. And Lombardy and Sicily are about 1,000 miles apart. So it's not so easy to deal with that, even from a logistical point of view. So maybe I'll just give some concrete examples of what kind of stuff these groups buy. Apologies for the Italian, but basically they buy 100% of their flour and paste, and almost 100% of their oil, fruit, red meat, and then it goes down. You can see the percentage. Blue is what they buy through a gas, and red is what they don't buy through a gas. So pasta, detergents, veggies, wine, cereals, or vegan sources for protein. Personal detergents, jam, preserves, white meat, bread, milk and yogurt, fish, juices, desserts, and clothing and shoes and other kind of non-food items are entering the equation. Actually the point is to move beyond the large distribution network as much as possible. And
Can I just ask something? This would be the members of a GAS
yeah.
saying, okay, we buy 100%.
Yeah.
So this is the members.
So what we've done, I'll just explain briefly. Because we were aware, we have developed this research in collaboration with the gas network at the national level, something called TABOS. They were aware of the fact that we didn't have a real map of how many gas are out there and what they actually do, how much of the economy they shift from large distribution to local resource networks. And so we scouted and mapped all the active gas groups in Lombardy, because Lombardy, of all the 20 or so regions in Italy, is the richest and most populous and the one with largest GDP. And we found about 451 groups just in the region Lombardy. And then we ran a two-tier questionnaire. We surveyed all the gas coordinators and all the gas members. So we got replies on average from 30 to 40% of the gas coordinators and the members. So this is obviously a question that we were asking individual gas members. How much of your stuff do you buy through a gas? And we asked other questions, such as how much your consumption and lifestyles has changed. Don't look at all the numbers, just the numbers in red. But basically, they felt that provisioning through a gas changed a lot their consumption lifestyles. They increased their intake of organic by almost 80%, and their intake of local food by more than 80%. They reported decreased shopping in the supermarket or malls by 41%, and a lot of them were already doing it. No change means that we were already doing this, we were already educated into doing this kind of stuff. So we kept that into consideration. And then there were questions about how this constant meeting and debating about where you source, where you provision, how that changed their styles of relating to each other and making decisions. And so, well, the reported 26% are more interested in problems concerning my own town of residence, and up to almost 40% felt that they were more able to cooperate in general with people, because strategies for conversation and consensus building have to be built when you meet at least fortnightly with another 20 to 40 people and decide together that, yeah, we buy oranges from this guy and oil from this other guy. Now, I think what's interesting is that in some cases, not all cases, gas groups tend to create networks. And in Lombardy, which is this region here, we found 10 so-called districts of solidarity economy. These are networks of gas that support one single project that is aimed at shifting or changing styles of provisioning in a more significant way. So the photograph here is from a group of gasistas, that's how they call themselves, visiting a farmer to develop a protocol for production. That's called a participatory guarantee system. The idea is that the farmer doesn't have to go through third-party certification, that for instance they grow organic or for quality assurance. They develop a consensual protocol for production, then there are on-site visits, and on the basis of that protocol of production there is a direct link and an enhanced trust between the customers and the farmer. So obviously this is something that requires quite a pool of customers, and in fact this project is supported by 3 districts of solidarity economy in Varese, Como, and Lecco. And there are other examples of districts, but I don't have really the time to go into it. Here is data about how many people we interviewed through this online survey. As I said, about 200 group coordinators replied, and about 1,600 families responded to our online survey. And we did all this work for 2003, it was part of our commitment to the Network for Solidarity Economy, and we're sharing this data with the Network for Solidarity Economy. Now, what's interesting is that the gasistas themselves were mostly women, and as you can see, the vast majority of them are over 30, either between 30 and 44, and just almost as many between 45 and 60. So these are the people who actually would do the work of provisioning for the family anyhow. We found that most of the gasistas are people with families. Most of them are married with 2 children, usually of an age, at least one of them under 5, so young families. And the income is definitely not low income. I wouldn't even consider it an upper middle class kind of income. It's either below 2,500 euros per month gross. That's usually 2 salaries because we're considering a family of gasistas, so there's 2 people with 2 children living on that, or up to 3,600 euros. Now, how much does gas cost in Europe? Just to give people an idea.
Gas?
Yeah.
Benzina. It costs about
$10 a gallon.
no more than that.
Okay, so
$15 a gallon.
$15 a gallon, that's what gas costs. And so you can imagine what that means in terms of not just running your car, but utilities, insurance, running a house,
That's $20
heating.
a gallon.
And so these people are not rich, but they have stable jobs and they are, they're comfortable in allocating their budget. So, and they have, and that is very particular of Italy, in Italy, they have degrees. Most of them have a degree, 37% have a master's degree, and a lot of people even have a PhD. This is a country where less than 10% of the population even graduates. So these are people with not so much money for the kind of investment that they made into their education, but they're obviously using their education in a different way.